All right, welcome to the podcast. Today we are talking Diet Detox. We're going to talk about how to get off the diet roller coaster once and for all. And I have Brooke Alpert with me today. She is a registered dietitian, an enlightened registered dietitian, nutrition expert, and author. She's author of the book Diet Detox, which we'll be talking about. You've probably seen her. She's been on Dr. Oz, The Today Show, Access Hollywood, a lot of magazines like Glamour, People, Town and Country, just all over the place. And she got her master's at New York University. And I've been following her for a while, and somehow we got connected. I actually don't know how we haven't been connected for a long time, but we just had so much fun on this interview. It was almost like a sermon. So can't wait to share it with you. You are going to love it. And I also have a bunch of cool info from the show. Now, we make the most amazing show notes. So you will want to grab these, especially when you hear what she's giving today, which you'll have to hear during the interview. And you'll be able to get that at jjvirgin.com/Diet Detox. All right, let's do it. Brooke, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, how could I not have you when you write the book Diet Detox? My gosh, I would have hunt you down, honey. Incredible. Let's just dive into that. And everyone always wants to know this. You've been doing this for a little while now. So what's the biggest mistake that you see women doing when it comes to dieting?
The biggest mistake that women do about dieting is when their diets have an expiration date. The minute your diet has an expiration date, you set yourself up for failure. And we begin that whole yo-yo pattern of on a diet, off a diet, on a diet, off a diet. And each time we do that, it makes it that much harder to lose weight for good.
You know what drives me crazy, Brooke? And you will you're going to fall off your chair. I remember, because we've heard it. Oh, it was a good day, a bad day, right? And I remember reading something that said it's not damaging to your metabolism to go off and on diets and to diet over and over. I go, wait a minute, hello.
It makes no sense, not only from a behavioral standpoint, which is really where I like to go to with my clients and my readers, but also what we do to our gut microbiome every time. It's unreal. All this yo-yo dieting makes it more and more difficult to lose weight.
Okay, you said two of my favorite words, so we're going to go there. You said gut microbiome, and I'm obsessed. I'm just obsessed with the gut microbiome. So, what does dieting do to your gut microbiome? And first of all, why the heck should we care about our gut microbiome? What is gut microbiome, and what does dieting do to it?
We're going to learn so much more, I think, in the next couple of years. But as of now, we know that at least 70% of our immune system is located in our gut. We're finding out that so many autoimmune diseases start in our gut. We find out that brain health and heart health start in the gut. But we also find out that the number on the scale is greatly affected by your gut. What happens every time we diet, or even when we're not dieting, is all that gut bacteria, right? So those probiotics that we consume, the good, the bad, the ugly, the heavy, the skinny, they have a balance. And there's also certain bacteria that greatly affect your weight. So when those bacteria start to get imbalanced, that's when the scale also goes up. And then every time we do these extreme diets and then sort of binge afterwards, we cause another imbalance of the weight of that bacteria, which greatly affects our weight. So, any time that you throw off your gut microbiome, you're setting yourself up not only for health issues, but for weight issues as well.
I can't wait till it gets to be commonplace. For the last, I guess it's been, 8 years. I've been looking at this balance between Firmicutes and Bacteroides because it can dictate whether you're gaining weight or losing weight. And it's your gut microbiome. And it's just one day we will start to really actually test that. And I think it's why it's so fascinating now to see that it used to be, okay, diet sodas, we thought it was just because they were neuroexcitatory or maybe because it caused calorie dysregulation, but it's no, it really actually messes your gut microbiome up.
But Yeah, and I argue all the time with people about artificial sweeteners. Just because they're non-caloric doesn't mean they're going to not affect you, but only to find out that sucralose actually throws off your gut microbiome.
Yeah.
So like anytime you're eating something that's negatively affecting your gut microbiome, you are sending yourself to the doctor. You are sending yourself to a dietitian. You are sending yourself for a plethora of issues.
I heard I'm trying to remember the name of the doctor who wrote Shred. And I heard him on Rachel Ray. I was getting my teeth cleaned, which is the only reason I was watching TV. So I've got like something, this woman with her like whatever in my mouth. And he literally says, it's not the diet sodas that cause the weight gain. It's the habits around the diet sodas. And I'm like, blah, it's the diet soda, dude. It's not the habits.
Well, and that's the truth. And every time you bombard your sensory sweetness in your mouth, like your sweetness perceptors, with these artificial sweeteners, which are 1,000 times sweeter than a teaspoon of regular sugar, you lose all sense of what sweetness tastes like. And once you go there, then you're going to need so much more sugar to satisfy any sweet craving. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Sorry. I can get really worked up over this.
I'm so excited to have you on the show because I was like, why has this person not been my girlfriend for a long time? How do we not know each other? So you wrote the Diet Detox. Why'd you write this? First of all, what a great title. So A+ on the title. Way to go. Why did you write the book?
Well, it's funny. I was in the process of writing my next book. This is my third book out. And I had been figuring out and I had been writing. And this was all after the birth of my second daughter. And I'm trying to lose the weight myself. And I'm being really patient. I'm following everything I'm supposed to do. But eventually, as a weight loss expert, when you're struggling with your own weight, it becomes a bit of a struggle and a bit of an emotional thing. I do a lot of TV. I do a lot of media. I meet someone to tell them what I do for a living. The first thing they do is look at my body. And to not feel comfortable in my own skin made me feel it was just a real big struggle for me. So all of a sudden, I started claiming that I was testing all this stuff for research. I was like, let me do this new juice cleanse. Let me see what this diet plan that this other person who I don't agree with wrote. Let me, and I started testing and I realized I was just desperate. And I was so desperate to lose the weight that I started doing things, well, certainly safe. I started doing things that were out of desperation versus out of education and knowledge and intelligence. And
so in other words, Brooke, you got into the mindset of most people out there, which is that freaked out, desperate, I'll do anything. So it makes you so much better at what you do.
Right. And honestly, all of my struggles I've ever had, whether with weight or fitness or just healthy eating, make me so much better as a, dietitian, as a nutrition counselor, because man, do I relate. But this second pregnancy and losing the weight postpartum put me over the edge quite a bit. And so finally, I just sat myself down as if I was my own client. And that started really fleshing out the book. And I was like, you know what to do, Brooke. Let's just put it into action. And that's why the Diet Detox, it's written as if I am talking to my girlfriends. It was a real sort of, moment where I just have to sit face to face with my aha moment and just say, you just have to do the work. It's not going to happen overnight and you need to be patient. And everything I was doing of, okay, I feel like I messed up. I ate my kids' leftover foods. Now I'm going to start tomorrow, was setting me up for failure. And I had to change the way I was eating to set myself up for success. And that's what I want this book, The Diet Detox, to do for everybody else.
I just love that you've experienced, we've all experienced. I gave birth to my first baby at 212 pounds. Now I'm 6 feet tall, but I'm not 7 feet tall, right? So, people are like, you're tall. I'm like, I'm not 7 feet tall. That's not okay. But somehow I give birth and I come home and I still weigh 212 pounds. And I was like, how'd that happen? Right. And then the second one, I got stuck at 170. And my ideal weight, I feel best around 145, 150. And I was like, just like you. And you're kind of you get into this really weird headspace. But it's so awesome to feel, because if you've never been there, I don't know how you can be a great nutritionist, weight loss expert, coach, unless you felt it yourself, because then you really can share with people what to do. And you talked about that you changed the way you were eating. What is it that you wish people would change about their eating? If there was one thing, what would it be?
Oh, goodness. the one thing I wish people would change, I wish they would take out this, like, I was so good or I was so bad. I wish they would take the judgment out of their eating.
Yeah.
Because anytime you feel guilty about the way that you're eating or feel guilty about the food you're eating, that's going to cause weight gain. Guilt automatically leads to other poor choices, which then leads to the scale going up. So, if you're not going to feel good about indulging, and that's why I incorporated an intentional indulgence. If you're not going to feel good about indulging in something or anything you're going to eat or put in your mouth, it's not worth it.
So let's move into it then, since you said that, because I think it's different than this idea of a cheat day, which cheat days make me insane, but they just drive me crazy. Because no one's cheating on broccoli. They're cheating on things that actually create a problem. So the next day they want more and more and more. But we do have birthdays, and we do have, and I would contend that it's not birthday cake once a year that's setting you over the edge. So how do you handle holidays and birthdays and that kind of stuff?
Right. Well, that's why I call it an intentional indulgence. The primary word there that's important is intentional. It needs to be an intentional decision that you make versus you're at the office and someone has cupcakes. You're like, okay, I'll just eat it. That's not an intentional choice, because then that's not something you're going to feel good about. So, we all have those Saturday nights where it's a special dinner, an anniversary. It could just be Friday night or going out for pizza with the kids. There's a time and a place where you can make room for nearly everything. Artificial sweeteners will never happen in my office.
Well, those
here.
shouldn't even be on the planet. Those are. Would you agree? And before we go on with indulgences, because I see artificial sweeteners as a science experiment gone wrong. Anyone who's listened to this podcast has heard me rant, but I would love to have you rant again on it, just so people really, really lock in that these just destroy your health. Then we're going back to indulgences. So We're going to remember where we're at. We've got a lot of women listening, so they're used to kind of like, we're over here, we're over here, we're over there. So
hang on for this ride. I can talk about artificial sweeteners all day long. They do nothing for you. Nutrition-wise, they give nothing. They bring nothing to the table. I like all the food we're eating to provide you something, right? Your food should be working for you. And instead, all these artificial sweeteners do is confuse your taste buds. They no longer know how to register something that is sweet. So all of a sudden, fresh fruit, I have people who use artificial sweeteners that come to my practice, and they're sprinkling it on top of raspberries. I mean, I'm like, you're sprinkling equal and sweet and low on top of already sweetened fruit. Fruit doesn't need sugar. Fruit is sugar. And it blows my mind. But what happens is they can no longer quantify in their taste buds what does sweetness taste like. And so they need more and more and more. And so what we're also finding out is that these aren't just non-caloric sweeteners. Our bodies and our hormones are still reacting because our sweetness sensors are going off, which is still causing that hormonal reaction of when insulin and glucagon and all of this happens, which basically just sends you into fat storing mode. So artificial sweeteners, and on top of it, see, I told you I can get going here. What they do to the gut microbiome. I mean, can I get an amen? It's like unreal. So there's nothing positive that artificial sweeteners are going to do for your body. The one time that I'm ever okay, sometimes with whether it's a stevia or sometimes a sugar alcohol, is when you need it for a supplement. So there's a very few times that I'm okay with stevia being used in like my favorite magnesium powder or something to make it taste, but not in a food that we consume.
Good. Thank you. Now back over to indulgence. So, all right. So, and then I love what you say, because it's really what I wrote the whole sugar impact diet about, because people are like, well, honey's natural. What about that? And they go, but artificial sweeteners have no calories. I'm like, all right, and that was my whole thing, is we're training our body to want more and more sweet. So what do we do now? We've got the birthday coming up, or et cetera. So how do you do these planned indulgences? What's your recommendation?
Right. So I offer, whether it's in my practice or in my books, an intentional indulgence once a week. And it can be sweet or savory. It's up to you. And it's really just something that wouldn't fall onto the spectrum of a normal healthy diet, right? So for some people it could be French fries. For another person, it could be that scoop of ice cream, whatever it is, but it just has to be real food. No, I'm not talking Twizzlers, and I'm not talking like a soda. That'll never fall into any sort of thing here. But what this does is, by allowing yourself permission, we sort of bring down the forbidden fruit. when you have food on a pedestal, right? So when people who are like, listen, I don't think we need gluten. I don't think we need grains in our diet. But when all of a sudden people have been saying no to food for so long, they look at like a stale piece of bread as if it's like the next best thing. So if they're allowed to have that occasional cupcake when appropriate once a week for a reason, and it's really delicious and good and worth it, all of a sudden we stop craving it so much because it's no longer forbidden.
Don't you find too, because this is what I've seen, I like to teach people how to connect the dots between what they eat and how they feel and what they weigh. And when you unprocess your diet and you're eating real food and you're getting away from the things that you're intolerant to, and then you go and eat one, you go, it was what happened to me. I used to be, I will tell you, I admit, a total diet soda fiend. I was a Diet Coke fiend. I would literally come home back when I was a personal trainer years ago, buy a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke at the 7-Eleven near my apartment and drink the entire thing before bed. I mean, I still look at that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
how far you've come.
I know. That's why I can relate so well to everybody, because I've done it all. I had a diet of fat-free everything. I had Diet Coke, fat-free frozen yogurt, sourdough bread, and black licorice. That was like my diet with popcorn.
Of course, popcorn. It's a whole grain though.
Right? It's all put in. So, but I'm trying to remember. So when you clear all this stuff out, and I still remember like trying another Diet Coke and going, this tastes really horrible. And now eating something that's just this like gluten, dairy, sugar bomb and going, wow, actually, I don't feel good when I eat this. It's a really different experience when it's not like, ooh, I'm sneaking this in when it's bad. It's like, okay, I can have this. And you go, actually, that wasn't even that great.
Yeah, it's so interesting. One of my clients who has been dieting since she was 2 years old, and she's in her early 60s right now, she was really thrown by me trying to give her an intentional indulgence. But this is your typical dieter who will either eat super, super clean, where I'm talking like steamed vegetables and chicken breast, or go over the edge.
Right.
So I knew she was going to one of my favorite restaurants here in New York City, and they have amazing French fries, and they're like with the truffle. It's kind of ridiculous. And I said, I want you to go when you go there with your husband, and I want you to get the fries. And she said, but I can't eat the fries. I'm trying to lose weight. And I said, I want you to order the fries. I give you permission to order the fries. She called me the next day. She said, not only did I order the fries, she said, but I ate them, and I stopped once I was full from them. She said, they got cold. I started talking to my husband. I wasn't interested in them. And I have never in my entire life left over French fries on my plate. And so sometimes when you give yourself permission, you're able to eat it in control, or know that, look, I'm taking a bite of this cupcake and it's not so good. So I will save it for when it's worth having a really good cupcake. It's food is delicious, and it should be something that we treasure and we use to feed our body and nurture our soul and on the works. But when you have things that are so forbidden, we lose any sort of ability to actually taste if it's delicious and worth it.
Yeah. And that's, again, I go back to, I always like to think of connecting the dots between what you're eating and how you feel. And we went off to Europe for my honeymoon. We went to Paris, London, and Amsterdam. And, it was so funny because I was like, I'll eat whatever I want to eat. I also have a little product called Safety Net that digests your gluten and dairy and eggs and soy, so I don't have the issues. So I knew I had that. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to try these things. It was so interesting because, we sat down that first day in Paris, got a croissant. I ate about a quarter of it. Was like, oh, okay. I was just like, that's not. And Ashley went through the whole of Paris and didn't eat anything. I was like, didn't like the food, didn't really eat anything else, didn't think it was so great. We did go to, and then Amsterdam's known for these. Have you been to Amsterdam?
I have.
Okay. Those fries with the goo on them?
Uh-huh.
That are known. So of course we have to try the things that they talk about. So we get the fries with the goo on them. I'm like, have two. I'm like, okay, I don't even get this. This, I don't even understand. I'm like, this is gross. And then we went to high tea at the Ritz, and it was like, all right. But it was like, it just, if I'd made it a whole point of I'm not having anything, blah, 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 it would have been a disaster. It was just like, okay, did that. Came back, lost a pound. Wasn't a big deal.
Right. And that's it. And if you had gone to Amsterdam and been like, I'm not touching the fries, or in Paris, I'm not eating any sort of, baguette or croissant, then right away, you're going to be looking and obsessing over everyone that you see. So by giving yourself that permission, you were able to be like, not worth it. It's not that great. Or fries with goo, not my thing, which I could have told you ahead of time.
Yes, I'd love to see who actually, everyone was getting those fries with the goo, and I didn't see anyone just going, wow, this is like insane, this goo on these fries. So good marketing, I would say. So now let's switch gears over to exercise. I know you're a dietitian, but I also know you preach exercise. So what do you preach in terms of exercise, since this has kind of turned into a preachy podcast?
Oh, I love to preach. I'll preach all day long. My favorite exercise, hands down, is what I recommend to my clients in my books, The Works, is high intensity interval training. And I am so fortunate to live in New York City, where I have access to these amazing gyms and these great little boutique fitness classes, something called the fitting room, where it's basically just high intensity exercise the whole entire time, being yelled at by men that are very tattooed, but I love it. And I hate it all at the same time. But there's no better workout. Not only does it help you with your blood sugar levels, but it's the most efficient and effective workout out there.
I love that. I started talking about HIIT training 25 years ago, and it was all about endurance. And I told people to stop doing endurance training. And you must have, it was like I said, Santa doesn't exist. But I was noticing it with my clients in grad school. We were taught to lose weight, you have to exercise more, eat less. You should create a 500 calorie deficit, and you should never do weight training until you've done long, slow distance cardio. It had to be at least 30 minutes, ideally an hour every day. And I went, people are getting worse. That's all I saw, is people were getting hungrier and they were getting fatter. And I went, well, I don't think I'm going to get paid for long teaching people how to do that. So better figure out what's working. So I love that you're recommending that. And I know that you have something super cool for everyone listening around that. So talk about what everyone listening will be getting. And just to let you know, this is going to be at jjvirgin.com/diet detox. We have a super cool surprise for you. So Brooke, what is it?
So as obsessed as I am with high intensity interval training, I can't just keep it to myself. So what I am offering to you is a 10 workout package written with me with some of the best trainers in New York City. 10 different workouts, all high intensity interval training, ranging from 10 minutes to 50 minutes, with weights, without weights. It's what I do on the road. It's what I do when I'm traveling. It's what I do at my gym. There's no excuse. And it's fun, it's quick, and it's effective.
Awesome. Now I'm going to throw a curveball over to you.
Hit me.
What's one thing you do every day that you feel makes the biggest difference in your life?
One thing that I would like to do every day is just take a few minutes to be grateful and show my gratitude. I'm not so good with that. I'm a New York City girl. I have 2 young children. I run my own business. I write books because I'm a crazy person. So I'm constantly looking for those moments where I could just sit and be grateful for everything I have, the good, the bad, the ugly. And so it's something I'm constantly working on. A few minutes I'm doing with one of my older daughters to sit and just be grateful for everything. That's something I really love to improve on my own, especially as my life gets busier and busier.
It's interesting. I was talking, one of my very best friends on the planet. In fact, he walked my mother down the aisle at my wedding is Dave Asprey. I saw he wrote something for your book.
Yes.
And Dave and I were chatting one day because one of the things he does with his kids, he's got little kids, and every night at dinner, they talk about what they're grateful for and what were the wins today, like what were the little wins. So it's such a good thing to teach your kids to do. We do it when I'm back home with I've got 20 and 21-year-olds now. So we were sitting around the table talking about how grateful we were for my son being in a near-death accident and finding the good out of it. So it's amazing when you do have these discussions. And I do think it is just such a great frame for our kids to look at, what was a win today? How do we celebrate that? What are we grateful for? Because when you get out into the real world, people don't tend to focus that way,
Yeah, and it's so easy just to feel battered by the world and that everything's falling against you. But when you kind of just open your eyes and are like, oh my goodness, look at this. I'm so grateful for the challenge of struggling with my weight, because look what it led me to. Really,
exactly.
It's changed everything. So there's always that silver lining.
I honestly would be super suspect of a weight loss expert who's never had a struggle. I don't know how they can really lead someone through it. So you're better off for it. And I'm sure everybody likes you a lot better too. Everyone wants to listen to that and go, she doesn't know. Look at her. She's so skinny. She's never had the power, right?
Yes.
So I did a Nutribullet infomercial and they showed the picture of me at 212 pounds, like just after I'd given birth, just, horrible. I was like, go ahead, put that up,
I mean, exactly. But I love the honesty. Some people would want to hide that, but it just shows why you do what you do every day.
Yeah, no one wants to listen to that. It's just like, like the chef who's in perfect shape must have horrible food. So you go to the bald hairdresser, it's like you got to be your thing. It's like, I want to know you went through the journey and the struggle. So I love that. So I want to remind everybody again, you are going to get these 10 awesome workouts when you go to jjvirgin.com/diet detox. We always have the best show notes with cool cheat sheet and all sorts of great info. You'll be able to get more on Brooke Alpert and all the cool stuff she's doing. So be sure to pick that up. And Brooke, thank you so much for being with me today. It's great. I can't wait to meet you and hang out with you in person.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
My pleasure. Now, after the break, I'll be answering a listener's questions, so stay with me.
If you want to lose weight even faster, here's the 2-word secret: extra fiber. JJ Virgin's extra fiber fights hunger. It's detoxifying, and it's the secret to a healthy gut. JJ's extra fiber is grain-free, paleo-safe, and doesn't contain any harmful irritants or allergenic proteins, so you can happily and more safely move towards your weight loss goals. Visit jjvirgin.com/products to give your body the well-rounded consumption of fiber it needs to help balance blood sugar, support healthy digestion, and stay fuller longer. Visit jjvirgin.com/products and get your fiber.
All right, welcome back. This is the time where I answer a listener's question. And today's question comes from Liana in Riverside. And she says, all right, JJ, I got the whole diet thing nailed. I've gone through the Virgin diet. I know which foods work for me and which don't. I've lowered my sugar impact. Oh my gosh, Liana is speaking my language. But I travel all the time. And the next thing that I want to get dialed in is my exercise, but I can't get it done with my travel schedule. What should I do? All right, Liana. So I travel all the time too. I actually travel about half the month. And so I have become queen of fitting fitness in and turning pretty much anything into my own personal gym, whether it's my hotel room or the hotel stairwell or the hotel gym. So one of the things that I first do is when I'm traveling, I always go for first finding a hotel that either has a gym at the hotel, and note, you want a gym, not a fitness room. A fitness room is code word for crappy equipment. Like they usually have a treadmill and a bike. And I'm looking for weights and a bench and a ball. So first thing I'm looking for is, what does the hotel have for a gym? And I usually will look it up online and look at the pictures, or do they have something right close by that is open? Because I once was at this hotel gym or hotel, and they had a gym close by, but the gym was not open at reasonable hours. So that was a problem. So that's step one. Now, here's the thing. Even if the hotel doesn't have a gym, I can still do a workout in my hotel room, or even better, I do a workout in the hotel stairwell. Now, Brooke talked about what she's giving today at jjvirgin.com/diet detox, which are a bunch of different exercise plans that are 10 to 50 minutes that you can do anywhere. I've done the same thing too in designing workouts in my Core 4 fitness program that you can do in 15 to 20 minutes in your hotel room. So the biggest thing that you want to do is commit. The next thing you want to do is work on moving more wherever you can. So if you are traveling, I always look at whenever I can walk it, I walk it. Whenever I can take the stairs, I take the stairs, because everything counts. But then I look at how I'm going to fit fitness into the day. And usually at home, I like to work out midday. But when I'm on the road, it usually ends up in the morning, sometimes in the evening. But I find if I'm going to flake, that's when. So, and it may be as simple as just going into the hotel stairwell for 20 minutes and going up and down the stairs. And usually I'll run up a flight, and then I'll come down a flight. Then I'll take 2 at a time up a flight. And so you don't need a ton of flights of stairs to be able to pull this off. So that's the big thing. And that's why I love the fact that Brooke talked about high intensity interval training, because it's something that you can do anywhere in a short amount of time. Hotel room, hotel gym, stairwells. And you just need to block out another 15 to 20 minutes. And remember, it all counts. Used to be that we thought if you couldn't work out for 30 minutes, don't bother. That is absolutely wrong. Every single thing counts. So get it in. And I love that you are totally dialed with now knowing which foods work for you and which foods don't, and looking at going into adding exercise in, because that's really how I teach people, is step by step, not trying to change everything at once. Just start one by one, putting things in, creating new habits. And over time, if you live like a healthy, lean person, guess what? You become one. All right, next up is gratitude. Oh, before that, if you want to submit a question, here's what you do. Go to my Facebook page, JJ Virgin Official, or on Instagram at JJ Virgin. And we're always checking out those sites and looking at the questions people post. Plus, you can ask me when I'm doing my Facebook Lives every week. I usually do them Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. Depends on my travel schedule. But go ahead and ask questions there. I look for ones that fit in well with the podcast I'm doing. Obviously, today we mentioned HIIT training, so I wanted to flip that in. And we will answer yours. Now, gratitude. Here's what we super appreciate. I love all the engagement. I love it when you're jumping on social media and engaging and answering questions, asking questions. And we also love when you leave reviews on iTunes, because it helps other people when they're looking. There's a lot of shows out there now, and they're like, what should I tune into? And so if you've loved this, if you've gotten something out of it, if you've listened and gone, yes, I got some great takeaways, I'm going to put into action, because I think for so many people, the biggest thing holding you back in your life is your health. And I want to make sure you have simple, actionable steps you can put into place every single week. Short podcasts you can digest simply, and then have action steps you can put into place so that you can up-level your health and therefore up-level your life, and go out there and do those things, the big things we were put on this planet to do. So I want to thank Kaztastic from the UK, who gave me 5 stars and said, awesome. Love JJ's show. Just the right length of time to give you fantastic info. Thank you that you can put into practice. Thank you so much, Kaztastic. And thank you in advance for jumping on over to iTunes, leaving a review, subscribing, and then, hey, if you know other friends who could benefit from this information, share it with them as well. Big, huge thanks for that. I super appreciate it. And with that, I'll see you next week.